Presidency has asked the ministerial nominees to get themselves ready ahead of Monday's screening. The Senate breaks its own procedures to sit on a Monday. Civil society organization Yaga Africa today come out to say the 2023 general election was more of a disappointment and a dashed hope considering the promises made. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Okimale in Abuja. Let's tell you what just happened a few minutes ago at the presidential villa, where it appears that something must have gone wrong in the negotiation between the federal government team and the representatives of the organized labor. Today, the representatives of the organized labor staged a walkout of the meeting with the federal government's team negotiating the palliatives and measures to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy. The meeting, as planned, was to be a continuation of the deliberations on palliative, but the labor members had walked out of the room before the meeting could end. Both parties have not opened up to the press, so what happened or what transpired behind closed doors? So much more for us to chew on today. A civil society organization said it was a dashed hope for Nigerians. The conduct of the Independent National Electoral Commission, we'll be hearing from them what exactly they mean by that. And of course, we'll be hearing more on the nominees that have been presented by President Bola Tinubu to the Senate for them to act in his cabinet. A lot of issues have been raised, and we'll be hearing some of these right here on the program. Stick around with me, everyone. Well, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, is confident that the commission will come up with better strategies on election security for the various off-cycle elections coming up in the next few months. Professor Yakubu, who stated this at the interagency consultative meeting with security stakeholders at the commission's headquarters in Abuja, also hinted that the commission has noticed some of the concerns of other stakeholders in security management during the 2023 general elections and will table same at the meeting. The National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, who is also co-chair of the forum, commended the Commission for its efforts so far and pledged his continued support for them.
It is a credit to you and the personalities who are in charge, credible Nigerians, that you have done a good job, and be assured it is recorded and is going to go into history.
Justice Ian Eko, the Federal High Court Abuja, has dismissed a preliminary objection filed by the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) against the governor of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Mba's 20 billion naira suit over alleged certificate forgery. In the ruling, Justice Eko held that the provisions of Section 20 of the NYSC Act does not relate to Mba, as he is not currently a serving NYSC member, an intended one, or an employee of the Corps. At the last adjourned day, the Council for NYSC had argued that Mr. Mba contravened the NYSC Act and the institution of the suit. While urging the court to strike out the suit, he said Mba did not appeal to the president as required by the provisions of Section 20 of the NYSC Act before instituting the suit against him. Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno has sworn in 23 commissioners and one special advisor into his cabinet. The governor charged them to brace up to the new phase of the administration and turn around the economic fortune of their communities. Governor Eno explained that he decided to maintain the former commissioners in his administration, noting that it is important to start his administration with tested hands who understand the system. The governor also announced the creation of the Ministry of Internal and Waterway Security to ensure security for people and investors.
Let us not come to report efforts. Let us come to report results. I'm sure you've been in a state of movement. You are welcome praise over
And the Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu has assured the Assistant Inspector General of Police, ARG Lawal Abubakar Daura, in charge of Zone 10, comprising Sokoto, Kebbi and Zamfara, of support and cooperation, to fight the rising security challenges facing the zone. The governor hosted the ARG to Sokoto State Government House, where he told the police chief that the state government will cooperate with the police and other stakeholders to ensure peace is restored in all troubled areas of the state.
I have no doubt in our minds that under your leadership, your men will be equal to the security challenges in the state.
The National Working Committee of the New Nigeria People's Party has dissolved the leadership of the party in 7 states, namely Enugu, Ekiti, Rivers, Niger, Katsina, Kaduna and Zamfara states. The party spokesperson, Mr. Agbo Major, told journalists at the party's headquarters in Abuja that the decision is part of an ongoing effort to stabilize the party and rid it off of those who worked against the party in the 2023 general elections. The party also suspended its governorship candidate in the February 2023 elections in Enugu State, Mr. Kajetan Eze, as well as the Enugu North Senatorial candidate Onyeka over alleged anti-party activities.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Before we get into our very first conversation, let's tell you that the All Progressives Congress, APC, has today announced that it will hold its different layer of meetings, which will culminate into the National Executive Committee meeting, the NEC. The party says the National Caucus meeting will hold on Wednesday, the 2nd of August, 2023, while the NEC meeting will hold on Thursday, the 3rd of August, 2023. Recently, the national chairman of the party and national secretary, Senator Abdullah Adamu and Senator Iyelo Michel, respectively, resigned their positions, and there's been persons to act in their stead. But the party is yet to make any position known or communicate any process in which these men will be replaced in substantive roles. Yesterday, we saw what happened where the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, presented President Tinubu's ministerial list before the Senate. Mr. Gbajabiamila, there was an immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives, presented the list to Senate President Godwin Akpabio at about 1 p.m. Akpabio said the list was dated 27, which means it was from the presidency as of yesterday, a request for confirmation of ministerial nominees. But today, what we're hearing is that the presidency and the Senate has directed the nominees to get their details ready, their curriculum vitae for Sunday ahead of a Monday screening. Traditionally, the Senate or the National Assembly will not sit for plenary on Mondays, but this will happen in this case. The House of Representatives had gone on their long recess, but the Senate has not done so because of the ministerial screening. A lot of Nigerians have been reacting to the persons, the quality, the capacity, and what the president did and what he did not do in respect of the nominations he's made. I'm being joined tonight on the program, Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you for
We didn't know it was going to be so soon to bring you back, because this is caused us to say, please come back on the program today, considering the fact that understanding how the Senate works, especially when it comes to the issue of confirmation, is slightly technical. Sitting on a Monday, what do you make of that move? And they are supposed to have gone for a recess.
First of all, thank you for having me in your program. Well, it is unusual for the National Assembly to sit on Monday. But I think what the leadership of the Senate is trying to do is to see how they can tidy up the issue of ministerial screening because of the recess, which they are supposed to go by next week. So I believe that the Monday issue is expedient. It's simply about trying to screen the ministers so that they don't go on recess with an outstanding responsibility or duty as regards to what they need to do. But apart from that, I don't think there is another thing.
What do you make of the persons that you've seen on that list?
Well, from the list of persons I've seen, first of all, I'm not from the governing party, but as a Nigerian, I have an opinion. And because the persons who are nominated are certainly going to head ministries and going to be a factor, major factor in government and governance. I've seen in the list the names of people that are credible, and people that are competent, people that I believe have the vision to disrupt the system as it is in order to make it better. There are people who have earned their name and have also made their mark over the years. And I believe that their presence in government will help a lot in terms of revamping the economy of the country and giving this country a sense of direction in line with the agenda, the manifesto, the thinking, and the focus of this government. And I've also seen people that are undeserving to even contemplate them being ministers. And particularly is the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai.
That's your own minister?
Yes. It's unfortunate that President Tinubu will pick El-Rufai, and I don't know for any reason why he should do that. And I have my points, and I believe that if President Tinubu is listening to me, or if any person, a supporter, a friend, or a fan, or someone who is close to me, I will make some prophecy about what is going to happen with El-Rufai in this government in the next few years. First of all, if you are nominating El-Rufai on the basis of integrity and transparency, and you said maybe you shouldn't appoint or nominate the governor, former governor of Kano State, Ganduje, by issues of allegations that have been online over the time, he too has allegations against him, because there is an outstanding issue of 32 billion naira federal government property, which the issue is now in court. Anybody can Google it and see. It is him being a governor in 2015 that stopped the continuation of that trial, and that issue is there before Justice Inyako in the Federal High Court. And then secondly, this government has run under the ticket of a Muslim ticket, and it has been doing everything possible to appease and please the Christian population in this country, that the government is not a theocracy, it's not about Islamization, it's not about any religious agenda, it's simply a political strategy with election. But here you are enlisting and employing a man who has, by his record and by his antecedents and by his own conduct and utterances, has appeared to be one of the most intolerant Nigerians in the history of this country. A video has been in circulation where this person has made statement on a religious agenda in this country, and by that he has irritated and icked and triggered a national conversation as far as this issue of government is concerned. But now you are bringing him close to you. But for all I know, there are many people who have supported and worked for Tinubu. And Tinubu has always been reputed to be one who have always selected the best from his state and has been able to make a record out of that. So it was expected that the list of ministers he's going to present before the country, taking cognizance of the time that this has lasted, they are going to be any of these two. First of all, it's going to be a clean break from the past. And secondly, there should be men of integrity, honor, and competence.
So does it look like a break from the past?
It is not a break from the past, because El-Rufai served as a minister under Obasanjo administration. And I believe that he also served as a governor. Is there no any person?
Yeah, there is just one person out of it. There are those who will say, Senator Shehu Sani, they're not surprised that you're coming after Mr. El-Rufai.
Yeah, because he has also come after me many times.
Because you have been known as a firm critic of El-Rufai over the years.
Of course, and he has also been critical of me also.
But does it take away the fact that, does he have the character in terms of quality of ideas and capacity to be able to deliver on the kind of role? For example, when he was Minister of FCT, did he deliver?
Obasanjo and Tinubu are two different people. And there are many things that have happened under Obasanjo regime, which I believe that Tinubu is simply inviting trouble and danger to himself by inviting El-Rufai into his government. Take, for example, this.
So out of the old 28, out of the old 28, it's only El-Rufai that you see.
Yeah, it seemed that I would talk about now here.
And it's supposed to be your representative from your state.
It's a representative from my state, so I have to talk, you know. First of all, now look at it. El-Rufai in Tinubu's government, I know there are three things that is going to happen. First of all, he will plot against Shatima, and he is going to plant the seed of discord between President Tinubu and Shatima. He has the track record of doing that. He did that between Atiku and Obasanjo.
What's the evidence?
Secondly, yes.
What's the evidence of that?
Secondly, are you not in this country? Have you remembered what happened between Atiku and Obasanjo? El-Rufai is in the center of it. Secondly, El-Rufai will not limit himself to the ministry. If you set him to works or aviation or power, he will not limit himself to his own ministry. He will meddle in every ministry you put it in government. And he did that. When he was an FCT minister, he fought Keba Chikwe, who was Minister of Aviation. He fought Adebo Bello, who was Minister of Agri. He fought Yaele, who was the head of service. He made sure that there is no Minister of State, and the FCT was dissolved, and he became a sole minister. He set Obasanjo against the National Assembly. That happened. His presence in Tinubu government, it will repeat itself. He is going to set Tinubu against Shatima.
You don't think that your perception of an El-Rufai for over the years is probably different now? That man is way over 60.
Well, Eleopo never changed the spot. He's still the same person.
All right.
If a man who is over 60 can make religious utterances that are flammable, that have the capacity of burning down and tearing this country apart, a man is 60, then what do you not expect him to do?
Let's move. This program is not about Mr. El-Rufai, and it's definitely not about setting scores, but it's definitely about analyzing what President Tinubu has done right and what he has done wrong. And you have highlighted just one out of it. For him to succeed with this caliber of persons, of course, sometimes you need strong persons around you to build strong system. Do you think that Nigeria is up for anything good with this crop of persons? And you will also talk about the politically magnified personalities like the Yinsom Wike, the Umahi, the Badaru, who are on that cabinet.
Well, as for me, I have said it, that there are competent people in this cabinet. For example, Pate, who will likely be the Minister of Health. He's someone that has over the years proven to be capable, competent, and has attained a height as far as his chosen profession is concerned. He has to retire from his appointment at Gavi Alliance, and then he is now back to Nigeria. Is someone we should much appreciate. There is Hannatu Musa too, who is a good lawyer, and she has also made her own sacrifices as far as this government is concerned. Adele Alaki has been an old horse, and I know him for many years. I believe that he is competent. He is in the right person to occupy such position.
He's perhaps one of the oldest, or if not the oldest in that in the lot.
Yes, but I've also seen others who are also equally good. But my own issue is that, as far as Wike is concerned, I think he has gotten his own 30 pieces of silver for the work he has done for the ruling party, being a PDP chieftain. So that will be how Tinubu is going to contain him, how he's going to accommodate him is a different thing. But I know that for Tinubu, the message is this. Tinubu has admitted and enlisted people who betray others, hoping that they will be faithful, loyal, and honest to him. And they will serve the country with all their strength. So all we can say to Tinubu is, so help him God. Because it's like now you are getting married to someone who has betrayed another person, hoping that that person will be faithful to you. So this is what it is. So if he succeeds in that, well, will be able to prove us wrong. But there are governors that I have seen there whom I believe that is simply an appointment to appease them, to bring them in. But I thought that by this time, a nation of 220 million people, you should be thinking of young minds, people with brilliant ideas, people who will do things differently. But you are bringing the elements of Buhari into your government, people from Obasanjo era into your government, people from other governments still coming to you. What do they have that they have not been able to achieve that for all these years while they're in office is what I don't understand. So for me, though appointment of a ministership is not something you can stay there for 8 years, like the way Buhari does, because if Buhari gives you an employment letter as a minister or appointment letter, it is attached with also a guarantee that you'll be there, whether you perform or not. I think with Tinubu should be different. Whoever is going to come to his cabinet, there should be a code of ethics. And that should help and guide him. And every minister should limit himself to his own ministry. And he should beware of whispers and gossip that will set him up against so many people.
Right.
Yes.
Senator, let me bring in the SDP presidential candidate, Mr. Adewale Adebayo, who joins us live from the U.S. virtually. It's good to see you, Mr. Adewale Adebayo. You were talking in your manifesto of the kind of caliber of cabinet that you would, but since you didn't win the election, let's glean from your knowledge of how a cabinet that you imagine could be if you were to win an election. But now, President Tinubu has put forward 28%. But as a lawyer, give us an understanding whether or not there is any kind of breach in what the president has done based on the amendment to the Constitution.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Well, let me start by saying that we are running a presidential system of government. And in that epoch, the president himself is the executive. Therefore, if Nigerian people can trust him with the mandate to be the president, they should trust him with the prerogative to select his team. He should know why he's selecting whom he's selecting. It will start as a Tinubu administration. It will end as a Tinubu administration. What he does in between, it is his own luck, it is his own design, it's up to him. So that is my understanding. With respect to the constitutional requirement, supposed to have a nomination of his ministers within 60 days. Well, I didn't expect that you would wait till the last hour of the 60 days, and I would expect that you have a complete list of ministers already sent out, because by law and by our constitution, there must be a minister from every state or the federation before the Federal Executive Council can be said to have been properly convoked. So I hope that they use the time they have left to try to comply. But it shows that maybe they have some internal struggles, maybe politics is playing a major role in their process, but I'm not the president.
But Mr. Adewale, are you saying that unless and until there is a representation from every state, as Mr. Tinubu has put up 28%, he cannot convene a national executive council meeting, effect meeting?
He cannot, because he has to comply with the Constitution. It's not too long ago he took the oath of office. that he will abide by the Constitution. And the Constitution says there must be a minister from every state of the Federation. And by implication, there ought to be a minister from the FCT as well. Because
so a minimum of 36 persons.
Yeah, maybe 37, because
37
by law,
plus the FCT.
Yes, that by law. So that's, I mean, it's easy to comply with the law in this kind of case. Why would you want to violate it? So it's important that he does that. What the quality of who he wants to choose, whatever, it is his choice. Provided that they must be adults, they must be persons who are qualified to be elected to the National Assembly. So that is his choice. He knows how he wants to lay his bed, and he will lie on it. That is why elections have consequences. So a cabinet should be a mirror that reflects the face of the president. So I think the cabinet member that he has chosen, they look very much like him. They are like him because many of them are his foot soldiers. And so it's right. I just want people to understand that he is the president. And the advantage of being a president is that you get to choose ministers. And those of us who lose elections tend to talk on TV on it. That's all we can do. But it is his choice to look at his renewed hope that he wrote by himself, that he wants to implement, look at the oath of office he's taking, and look at the Constitution of Nigeria, and then look at the circumstances of what is going on in the country, and realize that he has to get the people whom he thinks are the best for him in every state of the Federation, and then let them come and govern. So I don't see why we should worry too much about what he does, because very soon the result will show. They will start to work, the ministers will start to work, and it is when that happens that Nigerians can know whether he has made the right choice or not. But all I can say is that you don't need two heads to be a minister. You only need one head properly screwed to your neck. You also need a moral fiber in your being. You need to come there with a view to coming to work, to assist the president, to work for the Nigerian people. And you need to really put a lot of hard work into it. So, coming through the people he has chosen, they look to me like they apparently will meet the requirement. They are Nigerians, they are adults, they are well educated, and so they appear to people who are familiar with him. They've been following him around for some time. And I've seen some remarkable people there that even I would have chosen as president, if I was president. People like Professor Patel, he's a national asset. Nobody can deny that. And he's not that partisan, but he's willing to serve in any capacity in other administration for the country. I've seen smart people, especially the ladies that he's chosen. They are mostly very energetic people. I know not Musawa very well, and that's an asset. And I think with respect to the ladies, they're okay. They're well educated. Many of them are lawyers. There are other professionals, bankers.
And interestingly, there are those, Senator, you agree with me, that those who are, a few of them who are in their late 30s, a lot of them who are within their 40s, and just a handful that are in the 50s, and the ones who are in the minority are the ones who are in their 60s. Does that look like a good balance of energy to drive the kind of economy or the kind of a nation that is begging for help?
You can never know, because the president is the one. Ministers, with due respect, are like cattle, and the president is like the herdsman. He has to direct them to where they need to go, because every authority is vested in him. For example, if they pass the Senate, which I believe they will pass the Senate, and he is going to assign them to offices. So if he puts the square peg in the round hole, then he's already in trouble. If he puts the square peg in the square hole, it's okay. People like Lateef Agbemi is a very sound lawyer, so the president will know why he brought him there. He's a very conservative person, so the president must have maybe the kind of vision of the kind of person he wants in that capacity. Of course, Dena Alake is like a carbon copy of the president himself, so they're almost like twins when it comes to they are thinking telepathy. So he knows what he's doing. We will only know when they start to act, because for you to be a president, to be a minister, one, you have to be legally qualified, which they appear to be. It's not up to Nigerians if they have anything about them that makes them not to be suitable. They should come out and say it. But on the record that they have shown, they appear to be okay.
But Ms. Adebayo, let me quickly ask you, and this also I would like Senator Sani to weigh in on. There are critical areas in the Nigerian in the polity at the moment that one would think we need urgent attention, capable people to handle. Have you identified personalities that you think these are the kind of person that can help President Tinubu solve or fix some of these problems? You talk about issues of power, electricity. You talk about, in fact, there are those who think that we need that urgent legal reforms in this country. There's a lot of things that are not working, and it's at the heart. In fact, the other day, the man in charge of revenue, advising President Tinubu on revenue, is talking about reforms in the taxation, in the revenue generating system in the country. That is another kettle of fish entirely. Have you been able to identify one or two persons you think, if Tinubu put them in the right position, they might help fix some of the problems we are facing in the country at the moment?
Yes, I can have them in my mind, but the nature of the presidency is this. You don't get to tell your opponent who to appoint. The person that I would like to appoint might not be the person he wants to appoint. He knows what he's looking for. So I think people should let him lay his bed by himself. And I think he's beginning to lay that bed slowly. So what we can do is to recognize the fact that I cannot take my own list and give to him. If he calls me and say, bring somebody from your list, I can advise. I can say, oh, Shehu Okinbaloye will be a good minister of information.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, well,
that's not a good name on the Ministerial.
I can say that.
I promise.
And yeah, I can say that.
My passion is not in that area. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Is another show.
Maybe the president has got security intelligence that your passion is not there. So that's why he hasn't called. So he has his reasons. Well, what I'm letting you know is that in a presidential system, once you can trust somebody with the presidency, then you should be able to trust him to set up his cabinet. Then when they start to act, that's when you will know. What I wanted to say is that most of what will make people fail as a minister is the moral fiber or lack of it. And until they start to perform, you will not see it. The idea that you are working for the public, you are doing something that is ethical, you are complying with the Constitution, you understand that there's only one country, and you are trying to serve everybody equally. You tell the truth to the president, whether he's going to like it or not. You don't mind losing your job if you have to do the right thing. All those things cannot be shown on somebody's resume. It is when a person sits in that office as a minister, when they go to a council meeting and they're trying to advise the president and they're taking decisions, then you will see that people's quality will come out. It's not a paper thing where you set an exam and somebody who scores 99 or 95 is going to be the better person. No, somebody can come with a diploma from a polytechnic and competence in the area where you put them. They may show leadership, they may show hard work, they may devote time to the work, they may be honest, and they may be very bold and supportive of the president by coming out where the president is doing something wrong to say, Mr. President, with due respect, sir, what you are doing is wrong. So the president knows what he's looking for. And also you have to know that he's a politician and he doesn't want to have a political crisis, because in the ranking of problems for politicians when they are in office, political crisis, governance crisis, security crisis, economic crisis. Those are that's the classification.
All right.
The one they feel the most is political crisis. So you want to make sure that he settles his party people, right. he rewards loyalty for his people. But when the work starts, the Nigerian people will not care whether you use the thing to reward loyalty of the party members or not. They want to see that the GDP is getting better, employment is getting better, security is getting better, the interest rate is getting better, inflation is coming down, and they can see that people are getting jobs. So if you are doing all of that, the infrastructure, people will not mind how you choose your ministers.
All right.
But where you get them from, if they don't impact on the life of the people, it's a total waste of time.
Senator, the same question. Are you able to identify people you think can help? As soon as you saw the list, did it come to your mind if you are able to identify that this man will fix this problem? This man could help fix this problem. These other one.
Well, one can only be able to do that if you have a comprehensive list of all the ministers. Now that it is 28 names that have been submitted. So by the time we have a full list of names, then people can now make suggestions. But I know that the president has to know that whoever is going to be in his government, he has to add value to it. For example, now, the Ministry of Youths. In the last 8 years, there were two of my friends who were Minister of Youth and Sport, Dalong and Dari. And by being Minister of Youth, they are even older than me. So you see, I believe that if the president would look at maybe someone like Dari Israel, who is the APC youth leader, it would be good for the position. And as Minister of Sports, you now think of someone who has worn a national jersey. For example, you have people like Okocha, Kanu, Odegbami, Amokachi, or Boso, the coach of Super Eagles, or Mary Onyali, who also won medals at the Olympics. Let Shego Odegbami,
who had won the
African
national colors.
Yes, in 1980. So you look at people who have won the national jersey, let for the first time...
Can speak the language of sports.
Yes, let for the first time see a minister of sports that is really a sportsman, not a politician.
And when we're talking about digital economy, we could get someone from the Silicon Valley, someone who has done exploits.
Of course, in the area of ICT, that is needed. And then when you talk of aviation, you have people who have excelled in that field. Even the CEO of Air Peace, Onyema, is someone who will be good in that position. And then when you talk of areas of works and health, already we have a best hand. Party. Yeah. I think it's the best person.
Wale Adun, one can almost predict where Wale Adun is going.
Yeah. So, and then we also have Dele Alake, who...
You almost predict where Dele Alake... He's done one thing all his life.
Hopefully he's going to take information. And he has been very courteous and responsible in that, different from what we have had under Buhari when people have been threatened for expressing their opinion. So I think when you have a comprehensive list, the Senate can only make an informed a screening if the portfolios are attached. The problem you have in the Senate is that each time you have a ministerial nominee who come before it, seeing that you don't know what he's going to hold, so you simply ask general questions. But if you are going to be Minister of Aviation, at least I come with my set of questions that specifically are focused on the issue of aviation. So once portfolios are not attached, the screening will simply be a conversation that will make no meaning.
Senator, I must sincerely thank you. And as Mr. Adewale Adebayo, the presidential candidate of the SDP, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time tonight. I appreciate your time. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the 2023 general election. Yaga Africa has come out to say INEC was a disappointment in that election. It promised and it did not fulfill it. We look at the assessment of other stakeholders. It was not only INEC who did the election, there are others. What is the assessment of the civil society organization? We'll be hearing from them after now, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's get back to it. And this time around, we're focusing on the 2023 general elections, the outcome, the conduct, and the roles played by the different stakeholders. Today, Yaga Africa, one of the civil society organizations who deployed officials to monitor that election, had come out to say in a 90-page report released, the organization says it's more of a dashed hope. What was done by INEC and other stakeholders, and there were a lot of disappointment. Let's get straight to it. I have joining me the chair of the board of Yaga Africa, Dr. Hussaini Abdul. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us tonight. Let's get straight to it. That document, which was released at that press conference and which you made public today, was a question mark title, Dashed Hope. But if you look at that document, it was more or less a statement of a dashed hope, a disappointment coming from your report. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think, Sean, thank you very much. It is indeed the case that despite all the commitment, the passion, the drive, the resources, the promises that came from both INEC, from us as major actors in elections, at the end of the day, the processes did not actually give us exactly what we expected. So we put it in question mark, dash hope, because it's a conversation we are putting out there, and we don't want to live in a country whose election is hopeless. So it's a question mark. So we can't say it's a disappointment, but with what we have, the details of the recommendations, the actions that we have proposed, we think that when fully implemented, we can regain public confidence in our electoral process, and probably our subsequent elections can actually be better.
What was the most disappointing thing that your organization discovered?
I think the most disappointing thing has to do largely with what inspired Nigerians, what made people to have so much confidence in the elections. And that actually has to do with this electronic transmission of results, particularly the IRIs, and what people expected of it. So the inability to actually transmit this result real time was the biggest disappointment. And it ended up also becoming a major definer of the elections. We recognize that there are some good things that came out from that elections, of course, and we did highlight that in the report. But the attention, almost a global attention, was actually on the role of the IRF. And then once that failed, and that first day, it was a huge, huge disappointment. And therefore, people didn't even recognize that it did work during the gubernatorial elections and all that. So I think that's the biggest of all the disappointment. The second one would be logistics, which has been a recurring decimal in our electoral history, particularly in recent time. And we also saw that rearing its ugly head in some states during the presidential elections. And that, despite all the arrangement, despite all the commitment, that also failed, and it was also a major disappointment. I think the disappointment with electronic transmission is not simply just because we had a glitch, but also because we didn't get the right explanation, despite the demands that we made once we begin to experience it. So INEC did not come out quick enough to tell us what was going on. And if you look at the cover of our report, you will actually see that that cover is made up of when we raised the alarm about the glitch and the time that INEC issued a statement to explain what actually happened. You will see the time lag. And I think that this combination of factors probably undermined some of the good things that actually came up from the elections.
So, two things. Did you imagine, or did you have a feeling as an organization that something untoward was happening behind the scene?
Not really, particularly that this organization had worked very closely with INEC and had a very good relationship and access in INEC, and we commend INEC leadership for that. We've also been part of the process of the initial use of the IRF, and that was in Ekiti elections and also in Osun elections. And we saw how good that was and how that had contributed in the transparency of the electoral process in those two states. We were also part of the process of INEC pre-test. The test of the use of all the major technological facilities that INEC was going to deploy. And so we didn't expect this. We were high up, particularly that we have also set up a system that also helped to relay whatever is actually coming from IRA, which is our ERAD structure. We have recruited a massive number, over 1,300 people to support the process of downloading this result from the INEC IRA. So we have a structure. We've had our linkages with the television and show. You happen to be one of the key anchor of that. We brought all our resource people who will actually help in the analysis of the result and the ERAD. Unfortunately, that failed. So we didn't expect this to happen. We are not in position to say whether it was deliberate or accidental. We have that in our report. We are not in position to say that, but we were really disappointed that it didn't work out.
When you talked about the time lapse from when you approached INEC with your worries about the process and the time when they responded, what were you thinking INEC could have done differently from what it did?
Yeah, we actually think, and for me, INEC should probably have had a crisis communication system in place. Probably have done some scenarios in communications. And normally when you are going into a big project of this nature, part of what you do is to build crisis scenarios and say, if this happens, we react this way. If this happens, we react this way. If this happens, we react this way. You need to have that plan, not because you think those things will happen, but because you don't want to be taken off guard. So what we had expected at that moment is for INEC to come up with a statement and say, look, we are experiencing some difficulties with our systems. We are not in position to say exactly what is happening, but we are checking, we are analyzing, and we'll be updating you as we progress on this. It's a one-paragraph statement recognizing that this is happening and then saying that you are going to be updating that information from time to time. And probably you come back every 1 hour, every 2 hours, every 5 hours, and you are providing that update. People know that you recognize that something went wrong and you are indeed working to address it.
There are a long list of recommendations and highlights that you have made from reforms that you have advised that needs to be made. You've talked about the fact that technology is no longer a silver bullet as far as the electoral process in Nigeria is concerned. You have talked about the ambiguity, the complexity, the inadequacy with the election legal framework. We thought that the 2022 electoral law was somewhat a good law that would give us a good election. You talked about appointments into INEC. You talked about procedures in INEC. A whole lot of issues that you have raised. But in 30 seconds, if there's anything that needs to be done to salvage the situation, rescue INEC's reputation going into these 3 elections that we have in November, what would that be in 30 seconds, Doc?
I think one will still be logistics, that perennial problem. And then INEC, of course, we saw improvement in the gubernatorial elections because we cannot expect any reform or changes in the electoral laws before these off-season elections. So one is the logistics in terms of INEC plan. 2, INEC have to assess to actually see whether its use of road transport workers as major vendors in terms of its transportation, whether it's still okay. I think it is not okay. Probably INEC needs to begin to engage logistics companies to support its logistic effort. There are strong logistic companies in the country that can be deployed, and they will go, they will get the vehicles, and they will get these things out. There are various different institutions that actually use such company in big deployment, and I think that may help INEC to address the logistics side. I think INEC also need to test its all its technological devices that actually support the elections, not just the beavers, but also test run the IRF and check to see where there are issues and address them. And then INEC will need to refine its communications. Election is a huge project. When you are dealing with a big project of this nature, you must have a clear communication plan. And I think that doing that will probably help in dealing with some of the challenges we've had in the last elections. INEC have to learn from what happened in these last elections and ensure that we make those amendments while we are looking at the bigger things that we can do in preparation for the next general elections.
I'm very sure, Dr. Hussaini Abdul, yourself and your YAGA team are not the only disappointed persons. There are those a long list of Nigerians who are disappointed with the outcome, the conduct, and the process in the election. And INEC has said they are also disappointed in some areas, and they will do better, hoping that things will get better as we move forward. Thank you so much. Dr. Hussaini Abdul is the chair of the board of YAGA Africa. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me. Keep doing the good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's our beat tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. Bye-bye. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.